Every person who has ever lived shares one unavoidable fate. No matter how rich you become, no matter how carefully you live, one day your life will end. At least, that is what we have always believed. But what if death is not what you think it is? What if the moment you die is not the end of your story? What if, from your own perspective, death never truly happens? That sounds like science fiction, like a late-night conspiracy theory, like something built to unsettle you rather than explain reality. And yet, it comes from one of the strangest ideas in modern physics. A theory so disturbing that scientists and philosophers have argued over its meaning for decades. A theory called quantum immortality. If it were true, it would lead to a terrifying possibility. You may never experience your own death, ever. Before going further, there is a crucial warning. Quantum immortality is not an accepted scientific fact. There is no evidence proving it. Most physicists do not believe they are immortal. But the idea grows out of a serious interpretation of quantum mechanics. And once you understand the logic, it becomes very hard to forget. Because suddenly you are forced to ask a question that changes the way you think about life and death. To understand quantum immortality, you first have to understand the many worlds interpretation. In the early days of quantum physics, scientists ran into a problem that seemed to break common sense. At the quantum level, particles did not always behave like little solid objects following one path. Instead, they appeared to exist in multiple possible states at once. Only when observed did one outcome seem to appear. That raised a hard question. How can reality hold multiple possibilities at the same time? What makes one possibility become real? Many physicists proposed different answers, but one of the strangest came from Hugh Everett III. His idea was radical. What if every possible outcome actually happens? What if reality does not choose? What if the universe simply splits? According to the many worlds interpretation, every quantum event creates branching realities. In one branch, one outcome occurs. In another, a different outcome occurs. Both are real, both continue, and the branching never stops. Every second, every decision, every possibility. Reality keeps dividing into countless parallel worlds. Think about a coin toss. Most people see two outcomes, heads or tails. But in many worlds, one branch contains heads, another contains tails. Both happen. You simply experience one of them. Now imagine applying that idea not to a coin, but to your entire life. Every choice, every accident, every near miss, every opportunity. Some versions of you take one path, other versions take another. An enormous number of realities emerge from each moment. At first, that sounds fascinating, even beautiful. But then the question turns darker. What happens when death enters the picture? That is the core of quantum immortality. Not that your body becomes indestructible, not that you live forever in the usual sense, but that your conscious experience may never encounter its own ending. Every time a potentially fatal event happens, your awareness continues along the path where survival remains possible, at least in theory. And that idea is where the ordinary meaning of death starts to break apart. Because from everyone else's perspective, people still die. That part does not disappear. But from your own subjective perspective, the logic becomes unnerving. The universe may keep finding a way for consciousness to survive, even as the odds grow smaller and smaller. Even as the paths become stranger and more improbable. Think about the near misses in your own life. The car that stopped just in time. The decision that could have gone differently. The place you almost went. The flight you nearly took. The moment that felt trivial but could have changed everything. Usually people call these moments luck, chance, coincidence. But quantum immortality invites a much darker thought. What if some versions of you did not get lucky? What if there are branches where that car never stopped? Where that decision ended differently? Where that accident happened? According to many worlds, every possibility may exist somewhere, which means countless versions of you may already have died. And yet, you are still here. From your perspective, you have always been here. Because the only version you can experience is the one that survived. That is the true source of the dread, not just survival, subjective survival. The idea that consciousness may only ever notice the branches where it remains intact. You might not be immortal in any ordinary sense. Your body can still fail, the world can still be dangerous. But your first-person experience may never cross the line into non-existence, because there is no experience left to cross it. The longer you think about it, the stranger it becomes. Every day, you survive an impossible number of biological events. Your heart keeps beating, your brain keeps functioning, your body keeps coordinating millions of processes that you do not control. Survival feels normal because it happens constantly. But statistically, every life is a chain of incredibly unlikely successes. You survived childhood, you survived sickness, you survived accidents you never noticed, you survived countless moments that could have unfolded another way. And the longer you live, the more improbable your survival becomes. Now imagine that process extending without limit. Every potentially fatal event creates multiple branches. Some contain death, some contain survival. And no matter how unlikely survival becomes, there is always at least one branch where it happens. A branch where the diagnosis was wrong. A branch where help arrived in time. A branch where the accident was not fatal. A branch where the impossible somehow happened. And if quantum immortality is true, your consciousness would continue into those branches, no matter how improbable they become. That leads to one of the most disturbing implications of all. As time passes, your existence may become increasingly improbable, yet your awareness continues. Imagine reaching an age few humans ever reach, then exceeding it, then exceeding that. Each year becoming more statistically unlikely than the last. And still, from your perspective, you remain conscious. Not because you are invincible, not because you were chosen, but because consciousness only experiences the realities where survival is still possible. At first, that sounds almost like a loophole in death. But the closer you look, the less comforting it becomes. Because survival is not the same thing as living well. If consciousness keeps following the branch where life continues, what kind of life is it? Are you healthy? Are you suffering? Are you trapped in a reality where the body survives, but everything else is falling apart? That question turns the idea from strange to horrifying. Because maybe endless existence is not a gift at all. Maybe it is a burden. Imagine a future where technology keeps extending life. Researchers are already investing billions into life extension technologies. Genetic engineering, cellular repair, artificial organs, brain-computer interfaces, advanced medicine. The possibility of living longer no longer belongs only to myth. People are actively trying to push the boundary of mortality. Now combine that with quantum immortality. The result is hard to process. A consciousness that not only survives improbable events, but also benefits from every advance that reduces the chance of death. Lifespan stretches further, then further, then further, until the distinction between mortality and immortality starts to blur. And that possibility becomes even darker when you think about the universe itself. Modern cosmology predicts that the universe may eventually end in a state called the heat death of the universe. Stars burn out, galaxies drift apart, energy becomes scarce. Over unimaginable spans of time, everything grows cold, dark, and empty. A cosmos without the conditions that made life possible in the first place. So what happens then? If consciousness always survives, where does it go when the universe can no longer support life? Some people who entertain the theory suggest that awareness would continue into whatever branch still allows it. No matter how unlikely, no matter how strange, perhaps advanced civilizations emerge. Perhaps entirely new forms of existence become possible. Perhaps reality contains possibilities we cannot yet imagine. The theory does not give a clean answer. It gives more questions. And each question is more unsettling than the last. Because the farther you follow the logic, the less familiar reality becomes. You are no longer talking about ordinary human life. You are talking about consciousness drifting through increasingly improbable futures, surviving in forms that may be almost impossible to comprehend. And that brings you to the deepest mystery of all. The theory depends on one assumption, that there is something called you that continues to experience reality. But what is that exactly? Your body changes constantly. Your cells die and are replaced. Your memories shift. Your personality evolves. The person you were 10 years ago is not identical to the person you are now. And yet, some sense of continuity remains, some feeling that there is still an observer here, still an awareness looking out through your eyes. But what is consciousness? Where does it come from? Why does it exist at all? Science still does not have final answers. And without those answers, quantum immortality remains impossible to fully test, let alone prove. Because the greatest mystery may not be death. The greatest mystery may be the thing experiencing life in the first place. You can imagine your own death, you can fear it, you can study it, but you cannot truly experience your own non-existence. The mind can only picture itself observing absence. It can never step outside itself to confirm what it would mean to vanish. That is a strange limitation, and maybe the most important one we have. So what if quantum immortality is wrong? What if consciousness simply ends when the brain ends? Then life still matters. Your choices still matter. Love still matters, pain still matters, joy still matters. You would still live this one life with everything it contains. And what if quantum immortality is true? Then, from your perspective, life still continues. Awareness still continues. Experience still continues. Either way, you remain in the present moment. Right now, listening, thinking, existing. Maybe that is the most unsettling lesson hidden inside this theory. People often obsess over what happens after life, but rarely stop to face the miracle of life itself. The fact that consciousness exists at all, the fact that atoms somehow became aware, the fact that the universe produced beings capable of asking whether they will ever end. That may be stranger than parallel worlds, stranger than endless survival, stranger than death. The fact that anything exists at all, that there is something rather than nothing. That awareness emerged from a universe that once held only stars, dust, and darkness. Perhaps future generations will understand consciousness better. Maybe they will uncover truths that seem impossible now. Maybe they will finally answer what happens at the end of life. Or maybe they will discover that the question itself was too small from the beginning. Because if quantum immortality teaches anything, it is this. The universe may be far stranger than common sense allows, far stranger than our intuition, far stranger than the story we tell ourselves about death. And sometimes the most terrifying possibilities are not the ones proven by evidence. They are the ones that cannot be easily disproven, the ones that stay with you, the ones that make you stare into the dark and wonder whether reality is truly what it seems. Whether consciousness is more mysterious than anyone admits. Whether death is an ending or just another door we do not yet understand. So here is the final question. If you knew with absolute certainty that your consciousness would continue forever in some form, Would that comfort you or frighten you beyond measure?